All right, so today we're going to talk about some foundational principles that are really going to help kind of lay the foundational process of where we're going to go down the road. Now, these are some things with respect to cleaning that are foundational that it's really important that you know them, because once you know these, they're just some foundational things, but it's going to allow you with this knowledge to be able to provide additional insights and perspectives and be more of a challenger salesperson down the road. Now, there's a lot more where we could go down, but for simplicity, to keep things simple, to get the learning curve to get you to where you need to be as fast as possible, we're going to just focus on this for now. And down the road, there's definitely deeper things that we can talk about. So what I want to talk to you about is the pH scale. Now, the pH scale is something that you're going to need to understand and need to learn. And the reason for that is basically all the chemicals that you use are based on pH for the most part. Now, there are some exceptions to that with biological cleaners and things like that. They still have a pH to them, but they're not solely based on pH. Some hydrogen peroxide products as well. But for the most part, understanding the pH and how that plays a part in what we do is critical. So you might know it as the power of hydrogen. Now, what it does is it measures acidic and alkaline stains, okay? Or not stains, the pH. Now, the first thing to understand about the pH is that it is a power principle. So it works exactly the same as the Richter scale or decibels, meaning that every time you go up one, you start at neutral. We'll get into that in a sec. Neutral being 7, okay? But that's a 0. So as far as think of it as far as punching power, it's a 0. You go to 8. Now 8 is 10 times stronger than 7. So 8 is a 10. So think of punching power. Neutral cleaner, 7 has no punching power, right? It's a light feather punch. The 8 is 10 times stronger, so it's a little stronger. 9 is 100 times stronger than 7. So you can imagine the punching power that you can imagine as you're going up all the way to 14, right? Where you're getting a very, very Mike Tyson type punch knockout, right? Vice versa. On the other side, it works exactly the same. 7 is 0, 6 is 10, 5 is 100, 4 is 1,000, so on and so forth. So it's important to understand that. Now, the other thing that's important to understand is kind of where do the products that you sell fall into this. Now, you can see on this slide here, the 0 is like a sulfuric drain opener, okay? Now, if you go into your warehouse and if you sell sulfuric acid drain cleaners, they're almost for sure in a bag because they're bad, right? Like if they got on your skin or whatever, not good, right? So it's extremely acidic, right? Really, really dangerous. We don't want to deal with 14s unless with zeros unless we really, 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 really need to. And there are certain circumstances, but very few. Likewise, on the other spectrum, on the alkalinity side, a 14 is extremely powerful. Okay, now most of the products that you sell are going to be somewhere in the 2 or 3 up to the 10 or 12. Now, if you sell floor strippers, if you sell bowl cleaners, things like that, they go outside of that. But those are the exceptions. So this slide just kind of shows you, so drain openers are a 0 to a 1. Hydrochloric bowl cleaners are a 2. Phosphoric bowl cleaners are a 3. Okay. Grout cleaners are a 4. Shampoo and conditioners around a 6. Water, okay, true neutral cleaners are 7. Okay. but most neutral cleaners are in the 7 pH range. So if you go to your warehouse and there's all these neutral cleaners, they're not perfectly 7, right? They're just the neutral range. So they might be 7.2, 7.5, whatever. Floor finishes are up in and around 8. Disinfectants are around 9. Okay, and you can see the slide. Now, what's important to recognize is that if you a 13 pH, so a floor stripper, is what 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 1 million times stronger than a neutral cleaner. Okay, or sort of than a floor finish. So the floor finish is on the floor. The pH of the stripper is so strong it hits the floor finish and shreds it. Right, just shreds it to pieces. Okay, but the neutral cleaner on the floor finish is 8, the neutral cleaner is 7. It doesn't attack the floor finish, but it helps you remove the dirt off the floor finish without attacking the floor finish, because you don't want that to happen, obviously. So kind of give you paint the picture for you. Likewise, as far as it goes for products, and the purpose of what I want you to understand here is that most of the products you're going to sell fall into about 6 categories. Now, there's exceptions, but for the most part, for simplicity's sake, there's heavy-duty bowl cleaners, or there's bowl cleaners. There's bathroom cleaners. There's neutral cleaners or floor cleaners. Think of them as floor cleaners. There is disinfectants. There's general-purpose heavy-duty cleaners. And there's floor strippers. Those are basically the primary 6 categories. The reason you go to your warehouse and you see so many products and so many chemicals is because there are variations of each of these 6. Okay, so there's the pH levels. They're a little bit different. One might be 11, one might be 12, right? One might smell like lavender, one might smell like pine. One might have a dilution rate of 1 to 256. One might have a dilution rate of 1 to 16, and we'll get into that. So those are all the variations. So if you just think of your chemicals in these 6 categories, loosely, there's a little bit of gray, but predominantly that's the way you think of it, then it just makes things a lot simpler. You sit back and you look at the product on the shelf, you go, oh, that's a disinfectant. It falls in this category. I don't really need to learn right now the dilution rates and all that stuff. I can look at the label later and recognize that that's the dilution rate. So that's the way to think of it. Now, to give you the best visual that I've ever come across for the pH scale is this. You're going to see that 7 is 0. 8 is a 10. 9 is 100. 10 is 1,000. 11 is 10,000. 12 is 100,000. 13 is a million. And 14 is 10 million as far as power goes. But the difference in strength gives you this gives you a very, very, very good analogy. 7 is the power of, like, think of it as like a sheet of paper. 8 is like 10 sheets of paper. 9 is like a magazine as far as, thickness. You can start to see the thickness goes, the power goes, the punch power, right? A 7-inch drink of water, a 5'10" man, a 6-story building, the Washington Monument, and a mountain of 1.1 miles high. So that's the power, the difference in power and in strength. And so we're going to get into it, but what we want to do is we want to, when we're selling, not give someone a 14 if they don't need it. Not to give them a 13 if they don't need it. Not to give them a 12. Not to give them an 11. Okay? Because that is power. They're very, very, very powerful. And they don't need to be used in 75-80% of circumstances. If you're cleaning a school every day, or you're cleaning a doctor's office every day, the soil load is minimal. You don't need this kind of power, this kind of that strength around humans, impacting the earth, all these things. You don't need it. It's not necessary. You don't need a sledgehammer to kill a fly. But you want to know and have that sledgehammer available, because the last thing you want is to come up against a a stain or an issue and have to wait 5 days or a week for the product to come in, right? So there's these variables, but we want to risk versus reward we want to look at. So as far as today goes, just that's the pH scale. It's important that you understand the difference. And if you understand this graph here, this here, that's pretty much all you need to know from the power of hydrogen, the pH scale. And just recognize that as you go from 7 go up or 7 go down, it's the power of 10, and each one is 10 times stronger. Just like a 6.0 earthquake versus a 9-point earthquake means the difference between lives and complete destruction of a town, city, and buildings. Just to give you an example. So let's move forward. Now, when it comes to cleaning, there is a little acronym that is really good to know. It's called TACT. And what that is it's time, agitation, chemical concentration, and temperature. So if you want to get something clean, you need these 4 variables to get it clean. If you have these 4 variables and you can't get it clean, then what that means is that almost invariably, you can't get it clean. You're not going to get it clean. So I like to give the analogy of this because everyone can relate to it. You're cooking something in a frying pan. Let's say it's a steak or it's eggs or something, and it burns. And you've got to clean that frying pan. So I want you to walk through your mind. What are you going to do? You're going to go to the sink, right? You're going to fill it up with what? Hot water. You're not going to use cold water. You can use hot water. You're going to put that frying pan in the sink and add some soap. Okay? And you're going to let it sit for 5, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, whatever it is. You're going to give it time. So you got the hot water temperature. You have your detergent, dish soap, right? You have your chemical, which is kind of spreading the dirt to the sides. It is you letting it soak, so you have the time. And then depending on the circumstance, you're going to agitate it with a dishcloth or a scrub pad, right? Something. But if you give it enough time, your mechanical action, the agitation, the effort, the elbow grease you have to put into that frying pan is a lot less if the water's hotter and you let it sit longer, right? We know this. Many times it just kind of all falls off, and then you do a little bit of scrubbing and you don't have to do much work if the water's hot enough and if you let it sit long enough. So that is how we clean. That's how something gets clean. So if you have a spill on a carpet, then you want to look at this 4 stages. Now, almost all the time, temperature gets taken out in that circumstance. Okay? You don't have temperature. And a lot of chemicals and products today are based on not using hot water because of hot water costs. Also, too, because it makes chemicals off gas. All these variables. But it still has a very, very important role in cleaning in certain applications. But if you don't have temperature, then you need to make it up in time, agitation, or chemical, right? So where one is missing, you need to increase others. So in the example of a stain on the carpet, you don't have temperature. But what you can do, and what you should do, is you're going to have your chemical, your carpet spotter, right? And you're going to spray it, and you're going to give it some time. A minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever it is. And then you're going to agitate it, whereas you might give it a light little scrub with a brush, and then you're going to dab it, right? And you're going to pick it up onto your cloth. You're going to remove it from the carpet onto your cloth. So the same scenario is there. It's the same application. It's the same process. If you're stripping a floor, you're going to fill up your mop bucket with warm water. You're not going to do hot water but warm water. It doesn't play much of a part, but warm water. Hot water is fine, but it's going to get cool and but warm water, hot water is fine. But most people just use room temperature, cool, maybe a little more on the hotter side. But it doesn't play that much of a role in it. You're going to pour the chemical, which is a stronger chemical. You're going to go to a floor stripper. It's going to have a stronger pH, right? So you can have your chemical. You're going to slap the floor stripper and the water onto the floor, and you're going to let it sit 5 or 10 minutes. Time. You're going to see it all start to emulsify and clump up. All the floor finish. It's attacking the floor finish, right? You're going to take your floor scrubber. You're going to scrub it, agitation, and then you're going to pick it up and get rid of it, right? So that scenario is the same. You have your time, your agitation, your temperature, and your chemical. So that is the TACT principle, and that is very, very important for you to learn and to understand, because when you walk into building, someone at some point is going to say to you, yeah, I'll show you something I can't get clean. And when I started, I thought, I got my heavy duty cleaner, right? And I'd spray it and I'd wipe it. And I'd hope it worked. They'd go, oh, that works awesome, right? And I'd spray it and I'd give it 2 seconds. I wasn't considering all the ramifications of using that sledgehammer. And we'll get into that down the road. So we don't want to give someone a sledgehammer to kill a fly. We want to give the proper product. That's what professional selling is giving someone the right solution to get the job done with the lowest possible impact on human health. That's basically what we're trying to do. So that's the TACT principle. The next thing that's very important to understand is dilution rates. And the reason why it's important to understand dilution rates is most people don't understand them. Most of the end users that you're working with, building service contractors, things like that, many of them don't understand dilution rates. It doesn't mean anything to them. But you need to understand it because it helps you recommend the proper product, but it also helps you in making sure that people use products properly. So when we're talking about dilution rates, we're always talking about a 3.78 liter. And a USA gallon is 3.78. Now, some companies have 4-liter jugs, so there's a little bit of variables there. But for the most part, just think of the 3.78 or the 4-liter as a gallon. It's just the simplest way to do things. But the true gallon, a US gallon, is a true US gallon is 3.78 liters per gallon, or 18.9 in a pail. Okay, but that's the guidelines, the baseline, 3.78. So that 3.78 jug has 128 ounces in it. So a gallon of floor stripper, a gallon of a window cleaner, a gallon of general purpose cleaner, whatever, 3.78 liters has 128 ounces in it. And that's important to understand, because when you understand that a 3.78, a USA gallon has 3.78 liters or 128 ounces. So as far as dilution rates go, you need to think in ounces. So it's 128 ounces. So if someone says the product dilutes at 1 to 128, what does that mean? It means for 128 ounces of water, you need 1 ounce of this particular chemical. When someone says the dilution rate is 1 to 64, what that means is it's 2 ounces of product into 128 ounces of water. And the easiest way to think of that is like this. If someone says it's 1 to 16 dilution rate, then you divide 16 into 128, you get 8. If someone says it's 1 to 8, you divide 8 into 128, you get 16. Okay? If someone says 1 to 32, it means 32 ounces into 128 ounces of water gives you 4 ounces, right? 4 ounces per gallon is what you're going to do. So you're going to pour in a jug, in a gallon, it'll be 4 ounces of chemical into that 128 ounces. And so you get the math there. And 1 to 256 256 simply means that it's 128 times 2 is 256. So a half ounce per gallon is half an ounce per 128 ounces. It makes a dilution rate of 1:256. So if you just understand this, this is going to really help you. And it's going to help you sell, because if you walk in somewhere and someone says, I use this product and I love it, it's absolutely fantastic, there's a few things you want to think about. And we'll go back to what we've learned. They're saying this works absolutely fantastic. Do you have something like this? What you don't want to do is go, oh, let me look and find out. You want to ask questions. You say, well, Mr. Customer, what are you using it for? Right? Well, we're using it for this. Okay. So now you understand the purpose. How do you apply it, Mr. Customer? Well, I spray and I wipe away. Okay. So now you understand the process they're using. And now you look at that product and you sit back and you look at it and you say, oh, that product is a 13 pH. It is a 1 to 32 dilution rate, meaning it's 4 ounces per gallon. Okay, 4 ounces per gallon. And it 4 ounces per gallon, and it is a 13 pH. So those are two variables you have that you can now sell against, because you don't want to give that person the exact same thing. Say, oh, I have this. It's exactly the same. It's the same dilution rate. It's the same pH, because that's going to be a price. They're going to say, oh, how much? I pay $5, $10. Oh, right. Oh, let me match it, right? And then they just go back to their incumbent and say, hey, I can get the same product a couple dollars cheaper. Can you match the price? Right? So we need to be challenger salespeople. We need to be insightful selling people, and we need to sit back and look at opportunities. And by understanding these foundational principles, you can create opportunities. So remember, it's important that we understand the pH scale. It's understand that we understand the TACT principle. It's important that we understand dilution rates from a foundational fundamental level. And when you understand this, then you can start to be more consultative. You can start to be more insightful. You can start challenging what they're doing and helping them find better, safer products to solve the issues and challenges that they're trying to solve. Hope you found this of value. And we are going to start diving into products in the next section.